Hi there, this is Tom the Beer Whisperer, and you're going to be drinking with the Beer Whisperer, and this is Marshall Oktoberfest. Yes, it is not quite October, but it is time for these beers to start rolling out. This is actually only my second one I've tried in the season. My first was the Sam Adams. And like most Sam Adams products, it was solid, if unspectacular, but I mean, it was solid, drinkable, and certainly nothing wrong with it. I haven't tried this one before. Marshalls are fairly new to us here in Missouri. I've had a couple of their beers. A couple years ago, while traveling to Tulsa, I had their McNally's Pub Ale that's served at the Irish Pub McNally's there. You know, and it's a pretty solid 5%, Irish style ale with a nice malty backbone. I've also had their IPA, which I believe it's 6.5%. That's top notch too. This style, I'm sure you all know, let me show you the bottle there, is a malty style. It's meant to be that way, traditionally brewed in March for October. Oh, nice. Okay, let me read a little from the website, and then we'll get on with the particulars here. Oh, excuse me. Break out the lederhosen and get ready for some good old Bavarian. I don't even know how to pronounce that word. Anyway, moving along. Marshall Brewing Company's Oktoberfest is a beautiful, deep. I think they mean to say copper colored, but there's a typo on their website that says Cooper colored. I'm guessing they mean to say copper colored. Lager highlighted by a complex malt flavor, elegantly balanced by the bittering of noble German hops. This beer is extremely smooth and highly drinkable, checking in at 6%. Oktoberfest is truly a festive beer worth celebrating. Okay, well, what does that tell you? I don't know. What does that tell you? Well, 6%, okay, that's pretty good. This style hovers generally anywhere between 5 and 6%. I rarely see it above 6. This is one of the biggest of the season that I've seen. I can't remember exactly. I think that Sam Adams was 5.3. Mother's Brewing Company right here in Springfield pops one out. Theirs is 5.5. This one doesn't list the IBUs, so I don't know what they are. I'm guessing it's very light. I mean, a great nose. Got real caramely. I'd actually be surprised if it is above 15 on the IBUs. But because it is a 6% beer, I mean, it could be 20. I know the Mother's from here in Springfield is 5.5, 20, and that's kind of pretty standard numbers for the style. This is nice. So I'm surprised at 6 because it's highly drinkable, very tasty, very well rounded. Again, hoppy beers are kind of all the rage right now. And styles like this are kind of getting forgot about. But they have to come out, at this time of year. They just have to. But still, I think overall it's the hoppy beers that are really taking the market share at the moment. When the beer Greek craze, the craft beer craze first started, it was these malty beers that really took control early on. But as taste buds have grown, I mean, you've got beers just keep getting hoppier and hoppier. I want to revise what I said earlier. Actually, now that I'm drinking this thing, I am tasting more hops. So it's probably 20, maybe 25 IBUs top end. A nice finish, though. Malty, but not overly malty for the style. Truthfully, I'm one of those guys that if I'm drinking a malty beer, it can't be overly malty for me, but a lot of people, do think a beer can be too malty. This is a style that I don't mind if it's a little heavier on the malt. I really don't, because that's kind of what I'm looking for when I'm drinking, the Märzen or Oktoberfest style. Very likable beer. We just finished eating some some wieners and beans. My wife, who hates pork and beans and hates hot dogs, had a craving for wieners and beans. My son is guessing that she's having sympathy hunger cravings for our daughter that's pregnant, and that could very well be because she never eats that kind of food. I did use a can of pork and beans, but I added some good barbecue sauce to it. This is one of my favorite barbecue sauces, Gates, right out of Kansas City. It's a great place. It's a it's a Kansas City chain, and it's certainly not one of the fancy upscale places in Kansas City. It's a real working class place, but it's got great food, and its barbecue sauce is some of the best in the world right here, Gates, if you could find it. Anyway, I added that Gates sauce to it, and our local market had Hebrew National hot dogs on sale. So it was, as gourmet as wieners and beans can be, I guess, for a working class family. I know some, so I've made them at home before using dried beans and starting from scratch, but we were in a hurry, and we kind of went old school with the can of pork and beans. But like I said, I did add the barbecue to it, and with the Hebrew National dogs, it was very good. I always kind of slow steam my dogs first, kind of get some of that grease. A lot of people just toss them straight in. That kind of sometimes makes your wieners and beans greasy. So I kind of slow steam them a little bit first for a little bit to get some of that grease out. Then I chop them up and toss them in with the wieners and the barbecue sauce. Yeah, it was a decent lunch. I had some Dominican red beans that I'm using. I generally to make some and a ham hock I had in there, so I've got a pot of ham and beans cooking. I generally use the navy bean or sometimes the Great Northern, but I had these Dominican reds, and they've become one of a favorite bean of mine because they just have a nice texture, very similar to an Appaloosa bean in look and taste and texture. I got that cooking too. Uh, Tomorrow is my mother's birthday. Having a party for my mom, so I've also got a big pork butt cooking. So I'm gonna do some pulled pork for. So we'll do that too. So anyway, hey, and here we go. This is where we're at with this baby, huh? Uh, a good style, and you shouldn't, even if you are a serious hophead and you kind of shied away from the maltier spectrum, it is the season, right? So, this is the traditional beer that you want in this season is the Oktoberfest or the Märzen. Of course, craft breweries have gotten creative now, and they're popping out pumpkin ales and various other things that are kind of taking some of the market share. But I don't think you should forget this style because, again, it is tradition. You shouldn't forget these traditional styles, these old world styles. I mean, it's great. I love the creativity of American craft beers that are inventing styles for the season. That's awesome. But don't forget these traditional styles. I mean, they are tradition for a reason. They are tried and true, and I hate to see old styles get lost in the shuffle. This is one of the better ones. Again, a solid 6%. Kind of grows on you. The mouthfeel felt a little light at first, but there is a lot of flavor going on. Truthfully, I wouldn't by the mouthfeel and everything else, I wouldn't have guessed it was a 6% beer. Somebody just handed it to me. I'd have figured it was that typical somewhere between 5 and 5.5. I start with a chill on them, but this is a style that can be drank a little warmer. I mean, it doesn't have to be right at about 34 degrees. It may be better closer to somewhere between 35 to 40. Because as I've let this thing sit here with me, the aromas are kind of waking up. Hi, how are you? And the flavors are brightening up as well. Man. And we're down to about our last swallow here. Oh, wow. Oh, that was great. Sometimes, I'm sure this happened to me, so I'm sure it's happened to you that you're drinking a beer. Sometimes you get down to that last little bit and it gets hard to drink. Well, this isn't one of those beers. This is perfect from start to finish. And actually, as it warmed up a little bit, it actually got a little better. So keep that in mind. Marshall, out of, I believe they're out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So Marshall out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. I don't know what all markets are available in. They just got here. Like I said, I mean, a few years ago in Tulsa, I was able to try that McNally's Pub Ale at the restaurant there, and I liked it so much that I found it. At that time, it was only put in the 22-ounce bombers, and I brought one home, and I enjoyed it. It is that maltier kind of well, excuse me, Irish style, ale. Oh, good gravy. But a solid beer. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. This is Time to Beer Whisper, and you were just drinking with the Beer Whisper. Oktoberfest, baby.